good morning and hello everyone. Welcome to our presentation. For today, we care to share a story about South Asia diaspora. If you look at today's outline, we are going to talk about diaspora, 19th century migration, main characteristics of indenture, Caribbean, Pacific Island, Africa, Southeast Asia, early 20th century migration to North America, post-independence migration, the Middle East, Europe, Australia and New Zealand, and lastly, North America. So if you are ready, please join our presentation. Have you ever heard about the term diaspora? Diaspora is not only culture, but also language, their identities and memories. People move from their homeland to search for a better life. For today, we would like to share a story about South Asia diaspora. South Asia diaspora refers to people from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bhutan, and the Maldives, who live outside the country of origin. India diaspora denote that scattering of seeds. If we compare people like a flower, they would be a dandelion. When the wind blows, it will spread all over the places, just like Indian people that scatter all over the world. Some people might have an idea that China is the biggest diaspora because of the large populations of Chinese. In fact, South Asia is the biggest diaspora in the world. India is the only country that has a term of its overseas population, NRI, which refers to non-resident India. Traveler left India to settle abroad, back to 2,500 years, when Buddhist pilgrims and missionaries went to East and Central Asia to spread the teachings of Buddha. Many countries of Southeast Asia and East India, including Thailand, Malaysia, Cambodia, and Indonesia, still bear archaeological and cultural witness to the imperial dynasties of South India, which held sway over these regions from the 6th to 11th centuries.
In 19th century migration, first in the diaspora is when Britain abolished slavery in its colonies in 1834. Its West African refused to work in European. British found the indenture system is where no slave labor exists. During that period of time, Indian labor also exported to the British colonies. 19th century low and middle level functionaries were trained by the British to serve the empire abroad, and the free migration of Fenty merchants who followed in the initial migrants to take advantage of small business opportunity created by them.
The main characteristic of indenture. About 1.5 million Indians migrate as an indenture labor under a system, so notoriously exploitative is what's called a or hell. Indenture contracts were generally for a period of 5 to 10 years. Agents promised them like immigrant free passage, basic pay, food, accommodation, medical care, and return passage back. Actually, it was lured by painting a rosy picture of life aboard, but the reality was very opposite. Rescue had to endure the most bad conditions on board ship. Comparable to the Atlantic slave passage, they became sick and diseased, and about 1 from 3 died before they reached their destination. The movement and behavior were circumscribed by strict indenture laws. So there was no proper family life because of the tremendous distance from the Indian and their poor economic condition. These immigrants did not visit home. 1 from 3 of them returned to India generally penniless. Of the 2 from 3 who stay behind, some become small farmers or land given to them by the crown, but most were just left free to struggle on their own in recalcitrant and capitalist-dominated economy. Due to the sagging economy of the European Empire, due to that Indian labor made toiling under inhuman and brutal conditions.
First, let's look at Indian people that migrate to Caribbean, Hindus and Muslims. There is a large Christian population with Europe when many Hindus convert to Christianity to take advantage of employment opportunity available only to Christians. After independence in 1966, Indians suffered by 10 state sponsors discrimination at the hands of the PNC government, and more than 400,000 of them migrated to Canada and the United States. Indians depart for the Netherlands, where we saw better economic opportunity. Almost all Indian people still keep their culture alive.
The Pacific Island is the next place that we're gonna talk about. Fiji Indians present that even more extreme case of victimization under racist and discriminatory policies. They led a ruthless and shabby existence aggravated by the isolation and exploitation as unwelcome aliens. While the indigenous Fijians enjoy British protections under special lawments to preserve their cultures and their land holdings, they continue to live in very uncertain and dangerous times. Many have fled to Australia, New Zealand, and other industrialized countries of the West. And the main aim of the remaining Indians is to escape from Fiji rather than face racist violence and institutionalized infidelity.
Next, Africar. In the multi-ethnic and multilingual society of the Americas, the various ethnic groups coexist in a relative harmony, but they also lead their own independent life, with the Indian clinging to their religion, language, custom, and tradition. As you remember them about the Malabar Indian ethnic group, India managed to keep alive at the Tamil Hindu openly culture despite French pressure to adopt the Catholic religion. In a phenomenon peculiar to the Union, they practice in both Catholic and Hindu rites simultaneously. Hindu is that Muslim and Christian enjoy equal right of citizenship. The apartheid policy of the separate and unequal development drove a wedge between the Indian and Black. There have been many instances of the violent agent Indian by Black, even though most of Indians are still landless and hardly better off than the Blacks. The perception persists among Black that the Indian remain aloof and consider themselves superior, but they learn Africa as a home and learn to coexist with the Africa. Indian in three countries like Kenya, Uganda, Tennessee of the East Africa. When the three countries become independent in the early 1960s, Indians were expected to adopt the Africa citizenship and integrate into the Africa society, so into marriage and renouncing of the Indian culture.
And now we move to Southeast Asia. Middlemen and financiers recruit India in large gang for a period of 2 to 3 years on a rotational basis and send them to work the rubber and tea plantation in Myanmar, Malaysia, and Sri Lanka. Conditions of labor were hardly better than indenture, but Indian languages and culture were more easily maintained because of proximity to and continue interact with the homeland. For the British colonial part of the Indian population is stateless and does not enjoy any social, political, or economic, but Indians in Singapore are very diverse in their religion and culture. An overwhelming majority are Hindu and Tamils, and Tamil is the one of the official languages. It seems like they can express their identity with no country forced to change themselves.
Next, we move to early 20th century migration to North America. They were mostly illiterate persons from Punjabi villages, impoverished by drought and interrupted by British land reorganization, forced many of them to migrate to California. Immigration to Canada. Indians eligible for citizenship. The 1946 Rosella Law gave Indian citizenship rights and granted India a small quota of 100 immigrants per annum. But immigration from India was not accepted until 1965.
If we're looking at floating pendant migration, It's about migration who left South Asia after independence, were generally skilled professionals who went in search of economic opportunity to the more developed countries of the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, and the United States.
Moving to the Middle East, the discovery of West Oil Reserve created a demand for new population and new skills that the South Asian country filled with great success. The first wave consists mostly of the Muslims from Pakistan, Bangladesh, and the heavily Muslim Indian state of Kerala and Andhra Pradesh. As the demand for highly qualified experts in the technical, medical, scientific field, cook, and more, 70% of the Indian labor belong to this category. They are often exploited by unscrupulous recruiting agents who demand hefty fees and lure them with the false promise. Additionally, many are treated harshly and unfair, especially the women, who fall victim to physical and sexual abuse. Moreover, some of the highly skilled professionals are served well.
Another continent we are going to talk about Europe. The colonial connection between the United Kingdom and South Asia has contributed to a growing South Asian presence in the United Kingdom as a more middle-class group consisting mostly students, scientists, doctors, businessmen. The big migration when the British developed a critical labor shortage in the its booming industrial market. The sudden rise in the Asian population was accompanied by an increase in the racial tension, causing the British government. Indian has an income higher than the national average and has a lower unemployment uncertainty situation like the state said that they have to face. There also be like considerable illegal immigration of the agricultural labor from the Punjab or the Tamil from the Sri Lanka, feeling ethnic conflict of the Bangladesh seeking to escape cleansing poverty, the most common destination for these illegal and though many are caught and deported, make up Europe's shortage of cheap unskilled labor.
Australia and New Zealand is another country that Indian people decide to move to. A child life in immigration of information technology professionals, engineers, and doctors, as well as students attending universities, mainly in computer and management courses, through persistent racism and discrimination is a cause for concern. Indians are generally well respected and integrated into Australian and New Zealand society.
Lastly, we will mention about North America. The rural origins of early Punjabi settlers and racism state and culture lead to a great deal of insecurity and alienation. The Indian population is also marked by a great cultural and linguistic diversity, coming not only from India but also from British colonies of Fiji, Guyana, Trinidad, and East Africa. The dramatic rise in South Asia populations was accompanied by a rise in racist accidents, and the Canadian government's alarm at this development developed a liberal and intended policies of multiculturalism in a much more comfortable environment for South Asians in Canada. Cold War competitions with the Soviet Union created a demand for engineers, doctors, and scientists, and India had a well-educated, English-speaking, care of young professionals who could not be observed in its own economy. Most of the first wave of immigrants from India were young urban, middle-class professionals eager to explore new economic and professional opportunities abroad. They came with their families or if they came alone were soon joined by them. Being well-educated and economically well-off, they did not need to cluster in gauches but slip into the mainstream. The India Okumene in America is unique. In the vanguard group of highly successful immigrants was able from cultural and professional organizations, build impressive house of worship for their regions, and give back to India both in terms of transferring their state-of-the-art technologies and making generous charitable contributions. The globalization of economy has been a mixed bag, leading to economic triumphs for many, but also exposing them to exploitations and discrimination. Lack of political representations had led to their marginalizations in many states. Among the many challenges facing overseas Indians, representatives also play a huge role in many states. For the conclusion, the South Asian diaspora is found all over the world. They immigrant by birth due to new opportunities and for better economic conditions. They also bring their own traditions with them from their native countries. As we can observe, when we visit other countries, several cities have India towns or India food, and artists are blended into diverse countries. Furthermore, when it comes to Buddhism, they carry their beliefs with them in order to spread religions. There are many people in Asia that respect Buddhism, regardless of where they come from, or if they are an Indian growing up in Thailand, we must respect humanities and equal rights. They must be served in order for us to be respectful, and we must not be sarcastic and view them as a lower class. This is the best way to be united.